is the 77 WABC minicast.
Thank you. Welcome back. We're going to speak about Iran a little bit more. Then we're going to take your calls, 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. I want to hear from you. We're in Iran. We wanted regime change. You're not really going to get regime change. Okay. We wanted to make sure they did not have the capacity for a nuclear bomb. Good rationale. They're scary. We know that they have missiles. They have longer-range missiles than we knew they had. We want to make sure they don't have the capacity to build a nuclear weapon, and we're going to go in and make sure they never have the capacity to build a nuclear weapon, and then we can all sleep well. And we're not going to take a negotiated agreement that says they're not going to do it because we can't believe them, we can't trust them. So we're going to go to war. Maybe we'll send ground troops, but we will make sure that we get that uranium. They can't enrich it. They won't have a nuclear weapon. That is going to be victory. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. We have Joseph Cirincione with us. Only I can say that name. Me and people who own pizza parlors, truly own pizza parlors of Italian descent. Joseph is a nuclear policy expert, vice chair of the Center of International Studies Boards of Directors, but most importantly, he was in Iran as a nuclear expert, literally saw their facilities, the uranium, etc. So he actually knows what he's talking about. Again, not a crazy Democrat, not a crazy Republican. I don't know what he is, except a voice of intelligence and integrity. So the question to you, Joe, is can we make sure they don't build a nuclear bomb? Can we send troops in there if we have to, seize the uranium, put it on and remove it, pack it up, take it away, and know that we can go to sleep knowing that we accomplished something they can't build a nuclear bomb?
Good evening, Governor. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I'm a son of the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx. A lot of Ciriciones in the Bronx and up in Syracuse. I hope some of them are listening. Let me tell you that this is an extremely difficult mission. I was listening to Colonel Jacobs talk, and I often agree with him. We're in a very tough spot here. We thought we were going to go in quick and get a regime change. That didn't happen. We bombed the nuclear facilities very heavily last June. We're bombing them again. The problem is that Iran has a supply of near bomb-grade uranium gas stored deep underground at several sites in Iran, too deep for our weapons. Even our most powerful conventional weapons can't reach that. They also have several hundred centrifuges buried along with them in those same sites. And if they combine the two, if they take that uranium gas and put it back in those centrifuges, in a matter of a couple of weeks, they can make the material for a bomb. It's not a weapon itself, it's just the material. There's a lot of confusion about that. So in about 2 weeks, you could make the material for a bomb, but that's not a weapon. U.S. intelligence has assessed that it would take Iran 6 months to a year to actually turn that into a weapon. But that's the problem. Can you go get that? And many people believe that the 82nd Airborne, which is now probably in the Middle East by now, they were activated earlier last week, that their mission could be to go to Isfahan, the site, as you say, I visited, and try to seize that uranium. It is an extraordinarily difficult mission, and if you'd like, I could walk us through that and explain why it's so hard.
Yeah, it's hard but possible?
I don't want to say it's impossible because there's things we might not know. You know, we have exquisite intelligence into the Iranian program, both us and the Israelis and some of our European partners. But here's the problem. It's transportation, excavation, identification, and then transportation out. Transportation, both Isfahan and the other site where we think it's held, Natanz, are deep inside Iranian territory, hundreds of miles. So you have to get the troops there. We can't go over the ground, so we'll be talking about flying them in, but it's slow-flying helicopters, slow-flying cargo planes. Iran still has air defenses. They've been shooting at our jets. They forced an emergency landing of an F-35, our most advanced aircraft, just last week. But let's say you get them there, they land, they're going to have to secure the site, secure the airfield. We'd be talking about hundreds, perhaps thousands of troops there, and they're going to have to then confront a second problem. It's not above ground. This is not like raiding a warehouse or snatching Maduro, where 200 troops can go do that. No, this stuff is buried deep underground, and the Iranians have filled the tunnel entrances with dirt and, in some cases, concrete. So that means we have to bring in excavation equipment, bulldozers, heavy diggers, and we're going to have to dig that out. That's going to take days all by itself, maybe weeks. So this is not a quick operation. Add to that, they're going to be under fire. Iran has a very large army, very large militias. They'll see us coming, so those troops will basically be then surrounded, and it'll be mortars, artillery, small arms, drones. As Colonel Jacob says, you're going to lose soldiers, and maybe a lot of soldiers in this. Finally, you say you dig your way in, you get down to the site. We believe the highly enriched uranium, it's 60% enriched uranium gas, is stored in tanks, like scuba tanks. And we know this because the International Atomic Energy Agency inspected it, and that's what the director has said. He believes half of that gas is stored at Isfahan. Well, you have to identify those tanks, and perhaps Iran has put up hundreds of decoy tanks. So you got to figure out what the right ones are. But let's say we can figure out the right 60 or 100 cylinders. Then you have to have the problem of getting them back out. And that's the transportation out problem. You got to be very careful with these things. Any puncture will release the gas. It's highly toxic, corrosive gas. You can't bundle them together too haphazardly, because that would bring the gas too close together, could set off a chain reaction. You could have an explosion, not a full nuclear explosion, but a partial nuclear explosion. So very difficult to pull this out, and then it would take many plane loads to fly this stuff out. So the best option would be to destroy it, to blow it up in place, and we could probably do that. Again, it would contaminate the site for years, maybe decades, but that's probably, we don't care about that, so we do that. But then you're faced with the problem of getting your troops out of there under fire, where the Iranians have been swarming all over. Let me give you an example. We did a mission like this in Kazakhstan in the 1990s, when we found out that they had a supply of highly enriched uranium gas. We didn't want terrorists to get it. It was called Project Sapphire. Highly trained specialists brought in with the cooperation of the Kazakhstan government, so it was during peacetime. It took us a month to get those cylinders of gas out, about 600 kilograms of highly enriched uranium gas. A month to take it out. So that gives you some idea of the complexity of this mission. That's why I would say it's for all practical purposes an impossible task. We would suffer heavy casualties doing it. Even if we were going to blow it up in place, it would take at least a week, probably two, even to do that part of the operation. High risk, low probability of success.
And you never really know if you got it all.
Right, because, as the IAEA director says, he believes half of it was moved over to Natanz, another deeply underground facility. We call it Pickaxe Mountain, because we believe they dug a tunnel into this granite mountain, so deep underground there. So even if you got Isfahan, you didn't get it all. And that complicates the operation. Okay,
Joseph, thank you very much.
Sorry, I don't have better news, Governor.
Well, see, where that then takes us is a negotiated withdrawal. And as I said to the colonel, who's going to believe it's not worth the paper it's written on?
Right. Well, we've never trusted the Iranians. What you have to get is a very intrusive inspection agreement. And the Iranians, right before the war began, the Iranians offered to dilute this uranium. We passed on that offer. We thought we could get it all. We may have to go revisit that offer. Again, I think that's quite possibly where this is all heading. Not satisfying, but that may be the only choice left after we've exhausted all the other options.
Joseph Cirincione, I didn't know there were Ciriciones in Syracuse. I knew they were in the Bronx.
Up in Syracuse, a lot of them up there. Okay.
Good to be
Thank
with you,
Governor.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Okay, let's take a quick break, then we're going to take your calls. 800-848-9222. Ask me anything, tough questions, nice questions. See you in a minute.